Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another show for the weekly podcast, which is back. We had a bit of a hiatus last week, a nice rest, a winter break, shall we call it, but back again, ready to chat and talk about what has been a very positive weekend, which is quite nice for once. As an Arsenal fan, I've been waiting around too long for one of these wins, but finally we've got one, and I'm joined by two brilliant people to discuss that with. First off, we've got French. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem, mate. No problem at all. And we got Raph as well. How you doing, fella?
Yeah, good, man. Not too bad. How about you?
Yeah, good, good. I'm hearing that you've had some issues with trains.
Oh, mate, this is just a joke today, but the thought of it's just annoying me. So let's just move. It's been a good week. Monday can't spoil it. Nothing to spoil my Arsenal high at the minute.
If it makes you feel any better, I've got this week off completely. I'm not going to work. I'm not doing a single thing. If that makes you feel any better about anything.
Yeah, okay, man. I'll get into more. It's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I've got the week off as well. Just so you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can feel doubly as good for us. Doubly as
great. That's great. I'm working from home. That's something solid at least.
Oh, dear me. So a 4-0 win against Newcastle is, I'm going to say unprecedented, but well, we put 7 past them previously at the Emirates, but this is a different time. It's a different time now. French, talk to me, mate. Like, what, when you saw that lineup with Ceballos being in the midfield and whatever, I mean, the fact that we started Nketiah over Lacazette, what were you thinking?
The formation was definitely a surprise. Not the formation, the lineup was definitely surprising. Like, I've always had the kind of ideal that really you shouldn't really be worried about which players are in the lineup. If the manager is good and the structure is good, then you can change a few players here and there. But obviously, we've seen a bit of continuity under Arteta in terms of Lacazette starting up front, and we've seen a developing partnership between Torreira and Xhaka. So it was a bit surprising. But at the same time, obviously they had this 2-week break. I guess they saw something in Ceballos. So the rumors of him going, wanting to end his loan. So maybe there was a bit of appeasing him as well. And of course, we had the discussion about Lacazette. He probably had to be dropped, probably had to be put to the bench. And even in the group chat, we were saying, hopefully this is going to put, a little fire up his, So then he goes and then does the thing when he comes off the bench. And you say it was unprecedented, and I was thinking about it when the match ended. I was like, when's the last time we won in the league by like 4-0? And I had a little look, and to what I saw, it was like 2017, the end of 2017. I think Huddersfield 5-0. So it's been a while. It's been a long time, and obviously the lineup paid off, and it felt good.
Yeah, it did feel good, Raph. I mean, there's a lot of things to talk about, and we're going to go into all the intricacies. Well, that's a difficult word when you want to say it. But like, I thought I saw the reaction. The reaction to the lineups really bothers me, and I don't know why it bothers me so much. But I tweet it out because obviously I see Arsenal tweet it out, and I just put it out to get people's thoughts. And people just go off the rails completely when they see things.
I'll be honest. Like sometimes. And this is going to sound a bit, I don't know if it's controversial, but sometimes it annoys me that I have to be associated with some fans. Like, I'll be honest, it really does. Like, I just think, like, sometimes it's just like, mate, like, just let it, like, let's play. Like, let's see what it's like. I don't know, like, you see fans, we won 4-0. I was watching your reaction, and it's like people, Ozil played well. Don't get carried away. We're still crap. It's just like, mate, like, can we just like, let's just like, we don't have to overreact to everything. Like, it doesn't have to be.
I was doing the reaction show, like, and I'm trying to stay positive so much, and you're still getting those comments.
And I just feel like people have like become so used to like reacting negatively. Like, they don't know what to do with themselves when they could just be happy. Like, I don't know. With me, I think I went through a phase of you expect Arsenal to win, then you like have despair when they lose. Then it's kind of like you don't know what's going to happen. I feel like now I'm just excited when we win because I genuinely don't know when it's going to come. And it's a weird feeling, but I've accepted that we just have to appreciate that, it's a good result. Like, let's have a little bit of cheer in a terrible season. So I just honestly don't. It baffles me all the time. I just see the hate that some of our players get, the reactions to lineup. I must admit, with the lineup, I was a bit like, why doesn't he ever want to play Aubameyang, Martinelli, and Pepe? But I was quite excited. I was happy for Nketiah. I was just like, he seems like he's done well. He had a tough loan, it seemed, but he seems like he's learned. And I guess that's what the main reason why for a loan anyway is to learn from that loan, come back a better player. And it seems like that's happened. So see how he does. I just thought, why not? Let's just see. I don't see the negativity before we've even kicked the ball. It's like, I just don't get it.
I think you're right. People do like to react overly negatively, especially with social media. That's where we're going to see the most voices reacting negatively. And the negative ones are usually the loudest as well. So it's probably not even that large a proportion of people, but they definitely make themselves heard. And yeah, hopefully we get to the point where we can just trust the manager and just say, look, he's going to pick his 11 and let's AKB. Arteta knows best.
Yeah, I mean, oh god, let's get these labels out already. With the whole when people tweet and you say it's a minority and a majority thing, if you think of it, it's human nature. You are more likely to tweet something that's bothered you than something that you're happy with. It's just how it is, and that's why we see this minority seeming like a majority on social media. It's the same thing with the whole Wenger out and just negativity in general around the club. You don't see too much praise because people aren't inclined to tweet things they're happy about as much as they are things that they really are opposed to. So I get that. I just wish there was a little bit more patience and a little bit more openness about what we're trying to do. Speaking of what we're trying to do then, French, in terms of how we played, the first 30 minutes wasn't the best. I mean, we sort of just allowed Newcastle to play their game. It was a very Unai Emery-esque first 30 minutes, I felt, with the amount that Newcastle were able to attack us. Do you think that was just sort of they've had this time away in Dubai, they're very chill about it, and they just weren't up to speed quite well?
They were still in the desert, 100%. That's what it looked like. It was like you say, it had a little bit of an Emery vibe. But what was interesting about it is we weren't conceding too many clear-cut chances or anything. It was just that we couldn't make it click up front. And, it was a bad half, but it wasn't quite as bad as a bad Unai Emery half where, we have a lot of shots on goal, and we concede a couple of goals maybe. It was, like you say, really the first 30 minutes started to kind of build into the game a little bit more. We started to control the midfield a little bit more. And yeah, I mean, the first half was definitely not great viewing, but I don't think it was as terrible as I've seen some people make it out to be either. I think it's not what we want to see. And obviously after all the talk of we're coming back from Dubai, we're ready, we're together, we're united. There was a lot of skepticism even before a ball had been kicked. And so people were kind of waiting to be, so what have you really been up to in Dubai? And the first half was not really indicative of anything. So I understand why people were so upset. But if you look back on it, I think it was not a good start to the game, but when we have not good starts historically or recently at least, they've been a lot worse than that.
I think, I would agree in a sense that I think although it wasn't great, at least we didn't look just vulnerable. There's been times when a bad half, we've looked at 6s and 7s at the back. Everyone's on the floor, there's all of the gaps are in the team. I didn't feel really completely uncomfortable. I didn't feel okay, we're going to get pasted here. It just felt like we haven't started well. We're being a bit sluggish. Maximilian, or whatever his name is causing us issues. But we didn't look like, okay, we're hanging on for dear life. It just looked like we needed to improve.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking as well. And it like you said, it didn't look like we were going to get plastered at any point. If anything, we were thinking maybe it's another draw. That's really what it kind of, I think a lot of people were thinking it's looking like a 0-0 situation. But yeah, we weren't getting rained up on or anything like that.
And the thing that broke that was, I mean, I've been basically doing a few transfer videos I'm sure people have seen about who we might sign. And one of those was on Edouard from Celtic and thinking about the player that might come and replace Aubameyang in the summer, because I can't see him staying this summer whatsoever. 1 year left on his deal, the way that Raul Sanllehi's on about it. But the thing is, when you've got someone like Aubameyang in your team, there's moments in games where he can just pop up and create a goal out of a nothing chance. Because for me, Pepe's, whilst it was a decent cross, there was no strength on it, there was no speed on it, and Aubameyang had to generate all of the power from the header. And I said on yesterday's show, I don't really associate heading ability with Aubameyang, to be honest. It's not part of his game that I would put down as a list of strengths. So when he pops up in the middle of the box and those neck muscles to pound that into the corner, it really shocked me. It just showed for me that he's one of those strikers that out of nothing can give you a goal, and maybe it's worth tying him down next season and paying what it costs to do so.
I think it was the second his second headed goal for Arsenal, and I might be wrong on this, but I think both of them were possibly under Arteta.
Really?
I think I've heard that as a stat now. So yeah, and also in terms of keeping him, it's looking not completely implausible that we can get Champions League through one way or another, and I think that might be the key in maybe convincing him to stay. Sorry, go on, Raph.
I think what's good about Aubameyang, and if you look at it, it's very smart. Like he peeled it to the back post, and Lazaro, as good as he was going forward, you can tell that obviously defending a corner or defending from on the back post is not going to be one of his strong points. And I feel like Aubameyang peeled off to the back. One thing about Aubameyang, his movement is exceptional. And even though he's playing out on the left, he still obviously has the natural instinct of a striker. And I think, and it's not even to have a go at Pepe. I think sometimes with Pepe, and I was talking to one of my friends about it, I feel like subconsciously he doesn't want to miss the header and have to run all the way back. So sometimes he doesn't gamble at the far post. But I feel like with Aubameyang, his natural striker instinct, he's always going to kind of gamble in that sort of position. And then he was obviously a lot taller, a lot bigger, but a lot stronger than Lazaro on the back post. And I just feel like it's just part of his natural finisher instincts to be in that kind of situation. And he's always in the right place at the right time. And I mean, if I had the choice, I would sign him up.
That's the elite. What's really his elite quality, isn't it? It's his movement. Yeah. That's because his pace is he's got incredible pace in short bursts, but it's not the fastest in the league. Apparently, Socrates is faster than him in the team. So it's not. And his shooting, his shooting's great, but he does miss a few chances. What really is, he's always in the position to get these little tap-ins or whatever you want to call them. It's his position that allows him to get these easy goals and make it look so simple.
No, I agree, and I think that's where Lacazette. If you look at Lacazette, apart from obviously that finish yesterday, he normally scores difficult goals. He doesn't really score that many tap-ins, that many rebounds, that many headers, and I think that's why he doesn't get into the 30 goals or the 25 goals in a season, because his movement and just that knack for finishing. Kane does it really well as well, and Aguero. You think it's not easy to score tap-ins. I know that sounds strange, but they normally score tap-ins because they're in the right position.
But Lacazette's goals are impossible goals, aren't they?
Exactly. Back to goal, you have to swivel 3 or 4 times.
Do you think we missed him? Do you think we missed him yesterday? Like with Nketiah can't hold the ball up the same. Do you think that if Lacazette had started from the beginning, we would have got into it a lot more?
I actually don't. I feel like the thing with and Lacazette spoke about it before. I think it's just that when you play the last 15 minutes of a game, defenders are tired. They lack concentration. That's when you get more space in the box and things like that. I think Nketiah gave us a different option in terms of, he didn't hold up the ball as well, but he's not static either. I think Lacazette's been quite static in the last couple of games. I don't know if it's a lack of confidence. Obviously, he works his socks off, but I mean, in terms of his actual receiving the ball, a lot of the time he's holding up the ball. He's kind of having to peel off a defender or hold up off a defender. And I think that movement, sometimes it just allows other players to get a little bit more space. And if you look at the way Ozil played, and I'm sure you'll probably get onto it, I feel like Nketiah's just natural movement, it kind of helped kind of sway our attack in certain ways. And it's just, I think that's too static at times.
Yeah, like he does. Whilst it's great in what he does, I see what you're saying. The static nature of that, I think, slows down our play, especially on the counter attack sometimes. And we just, if you've looked and you analyse how we counter attack under Unai Emery, we would get to the halfway line and there would just be a pause when the player on the ball looks around and he's got no support around him. There's not any players bombing on with him, and it's just a lack of commitment. And things are gradually changing. There are still issues. I still think that we aren't getting enough players forward when we do try and hit oppositions on the break. But there is definitely a change in mentality for sure. We've spoken for 15 minutes now, and we've not yet brought up the main guy of the show, which I thought was, even though he's not the guy that got a goal and 2 assists, but Bukayo Saka, what this kid is playing in the wrong position, playing against professional
football. Is it the wrong position?
Yeah, it's a good question. We'll come on to that. But how important is it that we tie this guy down to a new deal?
I think that's got to be like happening, relatively soon. That 100% has had to have been in the works for a while, and I think probably the only thing that's making it drag on is he's just keeps doing really, really well, and so probably his representatives can probably sit there and go, hold on, we can take our time here and just.
No, I think it's 50. Actually, hold on, 60, maybe 70.
Yeah. So I mean, this is it. Like he's been fantastic. And in this game,
to come in so we can get the price down a little bit, I think, for a bit.
yeah, just to get him on the bench. And it's really something else. I think he's always been a very good player, even at the youth level. He's been spoken about. But I think in terms of how meteoric his rise at this point has been, as just being right now, you're slotted in, you're a regular, you're probably one of the first names on the team sheet at this point. And like you say, you're not playing in the position that we expect you to be in. So all the credit has to go to him. And yeah, it's just really lovely to see. I've invested a little bit in him on Football Index. So I've got extra, kind of riding on this stuff. I'm well happy to see it, I'll tell you.
I think with Saka, I think obviously some people didn't, maybe looking at like someone under 23s and just going through the youth ranks. He did play left back as well a little bit. He's played left back, played left wing as well. And I know he wants to play left wing. But I think that the way that Arteta's playing, the fact that Xhaka tucks in on the left and it allows him the chance to kind of get forward a lot, in a weird way, he's playing almost as a left wing back stroke midfielder anyway. And he doesn't have the pressure of having to be one of the front three that deliver, like in terms of you have to score, you have to assist, else you've almost had a bad game. And that kind of allows him, it looks like he's just giving him that freedom to actually do these things without that pressure on him. I think when he came in initially at the start of the year, and the start of the season, he started really well. And then I felt like there was almost this pressure for him to just keep doing that because we weren't scoring that many goals. And he kind of faded a little bit, if you remember. Like there was a time when it was almost like, let's save him from himself a little bit and take him out the firing line for a couple of games. And then I think this left back position is just giving him a new lease of life in that he can get forward with the freedom and not feeling like, if he doesn't deliver the perfect ball or if he doesn't provide an assist or a goal, he's not going to be criticised as much as if he was one of the front three. You see what happened with Pepe. And obviously, it's different because he's a £72 million player. But even Lacazette, if he doesn't score, if he doesn't, there's a pressure that's just mounted every game. But whereas Saka has just quietly got 8 assists this season, he's quietly kind of providing that width and providing that attacking threat without the pressure that I think would be on if he was one of the front three. And also, he's very good. Like he's a very good athlete. So defensively, I think he's very good as well because he can recover well, he's strong, and he's just really just up for the game. But I think he was first class. And I do think that Arsenal, I don't know, for the moment he kind of broke into the first team, we should have been looking at his contract, to be honest. I feel like he shouldn't have taken, like he's been one of the starlets from the youth team. I just can't imagine why he would be down to his last 18 months. It strikes kind of, it's very similar to the Hudson-Odoi thing where I just couldn't for the life of me understand where you've touted this guy for so long, and he's actually broken through, and you've let him run down to the last year of his contract. And I think we just need to get it done as soon as possible so that he's not.
Did he sign a new deal?
Huh?
A big one, I think.
Hudson-Odoi signed a new deal.
I think he signed a big one.
20 grand a week, where they probably could have got him
120 grand a week.
And I think that's going to cause a lot of problems in that changing room because you got, other young players now, doing all the sorts of things they're doing.
Mason Mount or you're Reece James
or Tammy,
you're not going to be looking, or Tammy, you're going to be looking at him. Well, if he got 120k, I want at least 120. I probably want 100.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. How they cannot. That's the thing is. And as well, there's issues with not just Chelsea, but you look at Man United where they pay over the odds for Bruno Fernandes. And with that, they've now put themselves to a situation where clubs will know they can manipulate Manchester United into paying whatever they want. Arsenal this January window weren't being bullied by teams. They wanted to get certain players. They couldn't get them for the money. And then so they just said, no, we're not going to go through it. We're not going to overspend. We're not going to cut ourselves in terms of the summer spending. So yeah. Are you watching the Chelsea game, right?
Yeah, sorry,
I was.
United just scored. United is 2-0 United.
Yeah.
That's not.
Oh God.
I'm going for a 2-2, so it's going my way.
I mean, that punches up the top. Well, let's talk about that. I mean, whilst that's going on, because obviously now that means that Manchester United on 38 points, we're on 34. It keeps us within 7 points of Chelsea in fourth, and obviously we've got this whole
Man City ban, fifth place race,
which is really odd. I was saying that this season's a write-off. Either of you, are you now saying that it's sort of back on because of this? Is there now a chance if we can string a run together?
I have a staunch front to all of my mates that the top four is 100% on because they're Man United and Chelsea fans, and I've got to back my team. And like you say, 7 points? Chelsea don't look like they're going to win this game at this point. And then there's a fifth place. That's we're 6 points off of Tottenham in sixth. So I think the league definitely looks like it's a lot tighter than it appears. Us being in 10th place or 11th place and all that, we're not actually that far off. And we've got a few home games coming up, and we've had a few tough away games, and things might balance themselves out over the next year. I think it's just in terms of the team, Arteta's come in straight away with the attitude that we have to start winning games. There's no time to rest or time to sort of they're playing every game to win it, and they have the attitude that top four is on. So I think, I don't know, I feel like it's not implausible, and by that merit, it's on. And so I have to just sort of wait and see how it pans out over these next couple of games. I think Chelsea are playing Tottenham next, possibly, or Man United are. So there's going to be a few points being dropped for sure around there, and we'll see how things go. But I think it's on. I think it's not impossible, especially if the fifth place Man City ban does play out.
I do think Man City are going to find a way to swerve it until at least next year. Personally, I don't know. They strike me as going in there with 50 lawyers.
Yeah,
all slick back, gelled hair back. And meaning business.
They have lawyers forever.
Yeah, so I have a feeling that they might get suspended at least or appeal, and then while it's still on, they can still get into the Champions League. However, I still maintain that I think that Europa League is probably our best bet. While it's dangerous to rely on it, I think it's our best bet only because I feel like the way our team are playing over two legs, we're a danger to anyone. I feel like the league might just be a bit of... I mean, it definitely... This result, funny enough, helps us. I mean, I've got a bet on that we finish above United, so it's not necessarily good for me, but it's... I feel like it's still on. I feel like we needed to rein another team in, and I think with Chelsea or Leicester, and I think Leicester's a bit too far away, Chelsea just reins it back in where there's a lot of pressure around and everyone's kind of bunched up. So, I mean, it's still on. It's going to be an ask, but we just need to start winning because there's not that many games left. I think there's 12 games, so
12 games.
It's got to be this kind of now or never, to be honest. So,
Yeah, and I mean, there's another thing. Like, we sometimes look at the league and think that we've not got to play Chelsea anymore. We don't have to play Man United. We don't have to play Sheffield United either. But the issue with that is that it takes it out of our hands as well. Is that we haven't got those games to play against them where we can then take points off those teams. So we've still got to play Liverpool, Man City, Leicester, Spurs, Wolves, and Everton. Obviously, that Everton game is massive. If we win that game, we go above them. So that's a huge test for the Gunners. Being at home, I think, gives us the slight advantage because it means that players like Lacazette, who have an awful away record, won't have to have that on their shoulders. And I mean, we're still talking about it, but at the end of the day, we're still joint 11th with Burnley. So it's there is a very strong argument to say to not get carried away.
Joint 10th, glass half full.
Yeah, I know I'm the most optimistic man on earth, but I just think that you have to still be realistic in some senses. I still think the Europa League is the best chance we have of getting access to the Champions League next season. But it's gonna be really tough to sort of get into how we're going to do that, because Olympiacos is not going to be a pushover. It's really not. They're a decent side. I feel like we have to play them every season from when we're playing in the Champions League. But I really think that the league is going to be just a little bit too far. I think we can get Europa League pretty much, but I'm not sure that Champions League is going to happen through the league. We are going to take some questions from the chat box as we round off towards. We're only going to run for about 15 minutes or so. It's been a bit of a quiet one, especially with the football going on at the same time, so it doesn't always help with the timing of these. But let's get some of your questions. So, does anyone actually rate Ceballos? Says Taib in the chat.
This is his second really good home game against a sort of smaller club, without any disrespect to Aston Villa or Burnley or Newcastle. But he had very good games against them. He was kind of anonymous at Anfield, but that's an incredible test, having just come to the league, and then he had an injury. And I think seeing him in this game, you can definitely see that he's got a lot of use in this system for Arteta. What he was doing in that game for me was really just continuously playing the ball out, not taking his time. Like we saw a little bit of that under Emery. He liked to take about 50 touches, spin around in a circle, run backwards and forwards again, and then pass the ball sideways or something. But it looked really nice. And then this time it was a completely different sort of it was almost like Xhaka-like, but much faster and sort of left or right, just kind of quarterback passes out wide. I think he set up the first Pepe cross to Aubameyang for that first goal. And I'm sure he was definitely involved in the Ozil goal. And I think he came off for the last one. But he was just, for me, he had, I think, the most touches of any Arsenal player. He had an excellent pass accuracy, and they were all, the vast majority of them, like going into the final third, going wide, which is where a lot of our goals came from. So I think he's got a lot of use in this structure, and I think under Arteta, it seems like you give him a player, he'll make him look good at this point. So I think I do rate him at the moment. Yeah,
I think I've always, me personally, when he came in, I thought that he could kind of occupy the Santi role, where he actually creates stuff. I feel like Ozil's best time was when Santi was in a team and he was passing quickly in between the lines. And Ozil has very good movement as a number 10 in and around that area, just behind the just behind the midfield and just in front of the defense. And I feel like one of the main reasons why he struggles is that if you don't pick him out quickly, then you've got a defender on his back, and that always causes Ozil problems. But if you find him quickly and then he's able to turn on the half turn and then create chances, I feel like that's when you see the best Ozil. And I think Santi was able to do that. And I think Ceballos, I thought that he would be able to kind of provide that as well. I thought maybe it might be at the expense of Xhaka instead of Torreira, just because Torreira has the better defensive awareness. But the way Xhaka's playing at the moment, he can't be dislodged. But I think that Ceballos can come good. I just think he's had a bit of unlucky. He's had an unlucky time of injuries with the injury that it came at the time it did. And I think that's kind of almost soured or almost kind of made people almost not realize that he is still a quality player. And I think French was right in regards to he was holding on to the ball for far too long. I think that slowed down our play at times, even though it looked good. you're then having to play like an eye of the needle pass, which is very difficult. So I think he's a very talented player. I just think it's about getting the best out of him and putting him in a position that works for us.
Yeah, is it just a coincidence that Ozil has his best game in the one that Ceballos starts is in behind the pivot?
Yeah,
you might say it is, but I genuinely think there is a link between that. I thought that Ceballos' best position is number 8. We've known that, which is the same position that Santi occupied next to Coquelin. So there is no reason why Ceballos cannot give you an aspect. I'm not going to say he's going to be on par with Santi because he's just not at that level for me, but he can be that technical player that can just string the defense and the midfield together and keep the ball ticking over. He was quick, he turns fast, he keeps the ball close to his feet, he's technical. And I think that there's a player like that in the team, it really, as you say, with Santi, really helps Ozil to sort of be more expressive and be more secure and not be the sole creator in the side as well. We had a question. Sorry,
I said especially at home against some of the smaller teams or the teams that are going to sit back a little bit more when we need to unlock the door.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. With if we go away to kind of different proposition, do they start Ceballos and Xhaka, or is it Ceballos and Torreira maybe? To just maybe shore up slightly more. I think in that game as well, he made Ozil look excellent, and I think also, he didn't necessarily make Xhaka look excellent, but it definitely took a lot of pressure off of him. Xhaka had a good game, and he didn't really look under too much pressure at any point, especially after giving away a yellow right at the start. And I think a lot of that was because Ceballos was doing a lot of that tough work, picking the ball off the defenders, taking it off him, progressing, breaking the lines.
100%. French Avon, one of our members, says, please assess Pepe's game. Was it his best for Arsenal yet?
Excellent. Yeah, I think you have to say it was definitely his best for us. It was like an arrival in a sense, and he's had a few of them, funnily enough. But this was almost like an adaptation. It wasn't just a goal or a few like beautiful nutmegs or anything like that. I think he had the most recoveries on the pitch. In that first half, he was probably one of the players to come out with quite a lot of credit because he was continuously covering for Bellerin, who lost the ball a couple of times, and he was helping him deal with ASM. And so that, I think for that alone, you have to say that's an adaptation to the Premier League that we all knew would take a little bit of time, and that it's really nice to see that coming in. He should have had an assist just before his first one with Aubameyang because he put it on a plate for Eddie, who unfortunately I think he leaned back a little bit and kind of hit the bar. But he was
a hard one. It was a real hard one to take, I think, because it was off the ground and he had to half volley it.
It was behind a little bit as well. So.
Yeah, it was behind him a little bit, and it definitely was an easy shot. You can't really begrudge him because he managed to get it off and in, almost in. But you wonder if you had maybe Aubameyang playing centrally or Lacazette, does that go in the net? But it certainly Pepe was like very crucial in us playing so well and winning that game in terms of providing 2 assists, getting a goal. I think he had the most touches in the opposition box. He had the most chances, created the most chances, had the most shots on target. And something that was really nice to see with him as well was how happy he looked. He was smiling a lot, big smile as well. Because I think Arteta mentioned that he's a really shy guy. And that's the impression that I got from him as well. Watching all his interviews, obviously, I speak French, so I know when he's talking, I have some kind of, better understanding of how he's coming across. And my impression of him was that he was someone who was, a young lad, and he was coming to a new country, and he was very sure of himself, but still somewhat in awe of, the whole kind of situation. And I think certainly with his first few interviews, and I think his body language has kind of reflected that. And I think in this game, you saw a completely different kind of Pepe, who was, one of the first ones to jump on other people for celebrations. And he just had a massive smile on his face for the whole game. And I think that, again, maybe Dubai really did something in terms of helping the team bond.
Yeah, I think Pepe's very introverted. I feel as a person, like the way he plays is very introverted because he likes taking people on and trying to make things happen himself. Even like, did you see a video of David Luiz grabbing the players' noses on the bus on social media? I just felt like, he's going for Pepe. That's risky. Like,
yeah. Pepe didn't appreciate that.
No, he didn't. So round this sort of off the questions. Interesting topic that did.
I just want to say I want to add one more thing on there. Sorry, like there was one thing that someone said. I think Avon Teddington. He said, "Is Pepe actually our Ozil replacement longer term?" Which is quite interesting because, again, he created the most chances, and he you noticed not so much now, but definitely under Emery, he was pretty much refusing to play both of them at the same time, and there was definitely a kind of theme of this guy is here to replace Ozil. Now they definitely can play together. I think we saw that yesterday. But he, in terms of a creative force, I think he has the potential to be not just a great goal scorer, but actually a great creator of goals as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think that the only way I can see him replacing Ozil in the sense of being the main creator in the side, but not as a move to a number 10.
Not in a positional sense at all, no.
No, but I saw people tweeting about that, saying that because of his style and because he's not very committed. But the thing is, I've seen a change in his mentality under Arteta. He does commit more. He does track back. He does protect the fullback a bit more. And that's just something that he desperately needs to add to his game. And I think that with confidence and with him scoring these goals more often, we will see a much better Pepe. And he's had to transition from a side in Lille that was great at counter-attacking and hit teams on the break, where he could use his pace and his speed to hit players in behind, to a team that plays much more possession-based football, that he's going to have to take players on a lot more. And he does have the skill to do that. And now he's getting the sort of the football brain where he's in the right place at the right time for the Saka cross, which is where he obviously got his goal. Picking up that point from Gregory Beale, who says, I was happy to see Guendouzi get in quotation marks stepped on by Arteta. He must assert himself as the boss, and I've loved Guendouzi. Raph, what do you make of this Guendouzi debacle, should we call it?
I just think that if indeed the reports are true, then I think Arteta had no choice but to assert his authority on the situation. I think that it's right that if if he did have a row, if he did come out and carry on after, then he should have got dropped from the team. I don't think anyone's bigger than the club. He's a young player. Obviously, with Guendouzi, he had some of these issues at Lorient as well, where he kind of fell out with the hierarchy there. So I hope it's not something that is going to carry on and he accepts it. But I just think that he's a passionate guy. You can see it on the pitch. He's the first to get in everyone's face and stuff like that. But he just needs to line a little bit more and not kind of get above his station in that he's too aggressive or he's kind of misplacing that passion, if that makes sense. And I think the good thing about Guendouzi is that it seems like some of the older guys have taken him under his wing, like Aubameyang, Lacazette, for example. So I hope that they can kind of just sit him down and say, look, you're at Arsenal. Like, you can't, you've just got to kind of understand where you are and just understand, don't waste the opportunity of playing. And worst case, I don't want to sell him, but at least now he's got good resale value in there. If we need and it got untenable, we'd be able to get decent money for him. But I feel like I just feel like he needs to toe the line. And I think Arteta has kind of shown that he means business in a lot of things that he's done. Like there's a lot of, he talks about the non-negotiables a lot and the things that you need. And you need a committed side. We need committed players and we need players to understand what he's going to do. And if they're not, then, he'll drop them. And I just think that's a good precedent to set.
100%. I fully agree with that, and I also agree with the thing about Guendouzi is he's a guy who could fight anyone at any time. He could fight with his own reflection, and that sort of attitude in of itself is actually captain material in a lot of ways. If you add it with the correct discipline and the correct kind of direction. I think what you said about having ideas above his station is key, because it's the fact that he's an inexperienced player and he just, doesn't have that kind of authority in any kind of sense to say anything to Arteta. So, but, and not to compare the players here at all, but, there's a famous situation between Sir Alex Ferguson and Roy Keane. They definitely argued quite a lot of bumping of heads there, and he was probably the best captain that they've ever had. So there's it's not necessarily a bad quality in of itself, but I think it needs to be measured, and like you said, the passion needs to be put in the right place. And if it's something that can't be taken care of, then like you said, at least it's got good resale value. But I've got a theory on this as well. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the the episode of Friends where Monica gets that new job as a chef. And she gets all her co-workers hate her, all her colleagues hate her basically, and she's got to assert her authority.
Quit bitch.
Quit bitch on the hat. Exactly. So she's got to assert her authority. So she hires Joey to come in and be a fake chef, so she can then assert authority and fire him in front of everyone. And yeah, now I'm the boss. I'm the big cheese. I don't know. I'm wondering, is there a little bit of that going on as well? Not necessarily even consciously, but certainly that's the effect that I think it's going to have on the rest of the squad.
Maybe.
And
maybe he's going to sort of get that in, like, you know, get that one.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think
when
it's
you
great.
were like, have you seen an episode of Friends? Mate, I've got the whole box set, right? I've got all of them.
You remember Quit Bitch? I forgot about that bit. So
downstairs living room, there are cushions with "We don't know, they know, we know, you don't." So I have literally my friends mental. Last point then, before we wrap things up, we have a game midweek. It's quite an important one because still, in my opinion, it's the best chance we've got of getting that Champions League football next season. And Olympiacos are no mugs. And then we've got a very, very important league game against Everton on the Sunday. I want to get your predictions, of course, but there's something that's come out to do with this about how we prepare for these matches that's slightly changing with Arteta. Usually what would happen is we would come back on the same night that we played the game. We're staying over and we're coming back on the Friday to give them more time for warm down. Either of you, in either of your opinions, is it just overthinking, or is it genuinely important to do this type of thing, or is there a reason that this is changing? What do you think is behind the thinking here?
So, I mean, I've not heard that before. This is my first hearing it, but my immediate hunch is that we haven't been doing fantastically in terms of injuries and that sort of thing. I don't know if that has any kind of effect with, tiredness and fatigue overall, but and in terms of man management, I do kind of, again, trust Arteta in what he seems to be doing. He seems to be getting the best out of players. As a guy who was recently a player, he probably has quite a good understanding of the kind of stress that sort of thing takes on your mind and your body. And I tend to think that, a change in some of the way that we do things is probably good because we've not been doing too well with how we've been doing things. So, I
think also, I think I would be interested to see if it's something that Man City do. Because he may just be looking at the way that Man City have character, and he may just be looking at there may be things that he takes into consideration. I remember when he went into the first day and he went into the video. He went into like the video suite and he was kind of saying, is this there, and this there? He may look at these little things in a bit more detail than Emery might. Emery, I know, was big on video and obviously looking back at videos and looking at maybe performances, but maybe Arteta looks at other aspects of data that he receives, and maybe he's just open to different ideas. And but I do think that it's probably something that he's seen from City. And to be honest, like French said, and to be piggyback off that, our injury record is shocking. So if there's anything that can potentially help, then maybe that could be it. Because I mean, it's not like it's just not like we have a good injury record, and it's not like it's going to cause any harm. I would say they don't normally train the next day anyway. So see how it works. I guess.
It looks like Martinelli's due to start probably up front for that game against Olympiacos, no?
Yeah. I have a feeling that he could start up front, and I have a feeling that Saka could possibly play at left wing as well, with Kolasinac coming in at left back.
I think Nelson could play as well. I think Nelson could
play. Great, back.
So is this Lacazette though? Because he didn't play on.
And Pablo Mari and Rob Holding played for the under-23 squad tonight. They played 45 minutes, which tells me that they could be in the squad for Thursday as well to give them some game time. So that's going to be interesting.
Pablo Mari's going to come in. For the Olympiacos. No, I heard that he is going to come in for the Olympiacos.
He's going to come in. Cedric's not far away either, apparently, from returning to action. I think the first time we'll see Cedric will probably be in the FA Cup game against Portsmouth if he's back fit for that. So I think that's where we'll probably utilise him there.
Their first game of next season.
They look like they're just coming to cover at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Pablo Mari, I think he's got potential to be a starter, because I think that he, with his left foot and the way that his passing is very it's effective and it's efficient, and I think the way that unlocks another side of the defence for Arteta, that'll be something that we'll see more use. But we didn't really mention him tonight, but Mustafi's been playing well. I mean,
you can't drop Mustafi. You can't drop him.
I was actually going to give a mention to Mustafi.
Yeah.
Well, Mustafi, I would say Xhaka and Ozil. I mean, considering they're probably the three most criticised players in our squad, the way that they've been playing, like, I mean, you can't really knock them, to be honest. I think Mustafi especially, he became pretty much the butt of everyone's joke. And I think the way that he's, like, you know, that he's cut the mistakes out, he's always been pretty good in regards to his actual passing ability, but his decision making with passing's always been what's in question.
Yeah, Hollywood.
Pass across goal when it's like it can be intercepted if it's not 100%, and you know he just seems to have cut that out a little bit more. He still obviously is Mustafi, so he's still going to have the odd, you know, he might trip over or, you know, slide all over the place. But I mean, in general, like, I really think that, you know, while we criticize players, that we should give them their flowers as well. And I think Mustafi, Xhaka, like Xhaka's been unreal,
incredible.
Yeah, and Ozil, especially the last game. I think that we've got to kind of give them their just due when they play well, to be honest.
100%, and I think as to a degree to Arteta as well. I mean, you know, these players, like you said, they were much maligned in the last regime, and for Xhaka and for Mustafi, a lot of Arsenal fans would never want to see them in an Arsenal shirt again for different reasons. But both of them felt the pressure of it, and both of them have come out and spoken about it, and then both of them have gone and turned it around to the point that the replacement for, you know, we would have had to get a replacement for Xhaka if he went to Hertha Berlin. No need for that. We would, and Pablo Mari, the replacement for Mustafi, all of a sudden we're looking at it like, well, you're going to rotate in at some point, but it's not an immediate sort of Mustafi gets dropped at this point. It's a question, which is amazing. And I think you've got to give huge credit to the players and to the manager as well. And it's just, fantastic.
100%. So, predictions for Olympiacos and Everton then, Raph, I'm going to start with you, mate.
I think 2-2 Olympiacos, and because it's away, 2-2 I think, and then we'll win at home. And I think Everton 2-1. 2-1.
Okay. Nervy one. French.
All right, so I've been thinking about this. We've been getting a few clean sheets recently. Arteta's got he's had it can't last forever, true, but the trend is quite impressive. So he's had 3 in his last 6 Premier League games, whereas previous to that, Emery had 3 in his last 19 Premier League games. So I mean, that's a change that you can't ignore. And so I don't know about Olympiacos. I guess Olympiacos, I probably have to go. Yeah, I'll go for a gritty 1-0, and then Everton, I think it'll probably be like a 3-1 to Arsenal. We're winning both of them. Yeah,
I like it. Yeah, I'm going to go for 2 wins as well, but I think it's going to be a tricky one out in Greece. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win. In Greece, although I did see some people in the chat box earlier on saying that we were going to lose quite heavily, so which is quite interesting. And I'm going to go with a 2-0 home win against Everton. The confidence is back again. Archie says 2-0 win both games. Mogos says 2-0 clean sheet is the way is in the way.
I think he means
2-0 is the way. Joseph, as I said earlier, reckons it's going to be 3-0 Olympiacos, which doesn't seem too confident. And Greg finishes off with saying that Xhaka, Mustafi and Ozil are blooming under Arteta's care. So that's going to wrap off today. So thank you ever so much for watching. Thank you, French. Appreciate you coming on, mate.
Yeah, mate. It was good fun. Nice to have a really positive 4-0 pod.
Yeah, it's nice. It's not normal. I'm not used to this.
Let's get used to it, though.
Whatever. Raph, pleasure as always, mate.
Yeah, always, mate. Thanks for having me.
No worries. That's all. You go check out. Sorry, what was that, Raph?
I just said, what I'm French as well.
Yeah. I mean, this is nice. Humility and friendship. That's what brings from 4-0 win. Oh, dearie me. You can check out the guys on Twitter, French at FrenchGooner23 and at Raph. It's not at Raph, it's at Messi the Artist on Twitter to find Raph as well. And you can find us at the Gooner Talk TV as well. Please make sure you like and subscribe if you're new around here. And we'll see you again very, very soon. After probably the Olympiacos game, most likely straight after that game, but there'll be some transfer vids in between, don't worry. Still, it's February, we're still doing transfer videos. It's crazy, but you guys seem to like them, so we're going to keep them up. See you again very soon, and as always, up the Arsenal.